Hi, you're with Peter Carr and Oliver D. Nicolai on LonghausTV. Ollie, lots of activity going on in the application space still, in the market as a whole. Enterprise software is big, lots of changes. We've seen a lot of activity though around this HR market from lots of different angles. Over the last few months, this could possibly be one of the wildest area of development at the moment.
Wildest is the Wild West, so to speak, because we're looking at online recruitment. We've had previous studies on online recruitment. We've seen a general trend from the agency recruitment area, and the people are moving in, vendors are moving into the corporate online recruitment space, and that's in itself is an interesting trend. The other interesting trend that we're finding is that they're taking a linear approach to the process. These companies and other companies are actually building on this and looking at human capital management, not just recruitment, human capital management, and that's the opportunity that they're finding.
So what else is involved in human capital management?
Well, performance management.
Performance management of staff, professional
development, goal setting, career setting. So that indicates that the industry has actually realised that the prospective clients, the customers, the organisations are taking more and more of an interest in the development of their human capital.
So there's a couple of things, isn't there? It's the outside the organisation, so the recruitment agencies, which have traditionally owned recruitment.
That's right.
Corporations looking to bring recruitment inside the organisation through some of these online recruitment solutions. At the other end, we have the desire by organisations to have closer relationships with their staff. We want to performance manage you. What are your goals? We want to keep you happy, keep you for a long time, make sure we keep pushing you in the right direction to keep your skills up.
Yes, but just to add to that, there is in the past there has been some rhetoric around that. Organisations have been doing performance management and professional development for quite some time.
Right.
But now they're taking more of a serious look at it. It's not just rhetoric. It's not just grabbing that information and saying we're doing this. They're actually taking a more serious look, moving away from manual systems and seriously trying to make a linear progression between recruitment right through the range of the development and the career development of their staff, their management, right through to the exit of that particular person.
So a lot of these sound like strategic approaches.
More of a strategic approach.
To what has traditionally been
tactical, transactional.
Yeah, transactional approaches, I guess, in HR, which we think about HR systems, we think about ERP, payroll, those sorts of things. So if you start to combine those traditional transactional systems like HR and payroll and think about who those companies have been, and then look to add in this corporate view of recruitment.
Yep.
And this corporate view of staff management, then we have something different than what has otherwise been referred to as HR, and this is the human capital management space.
I mean, human capital management as a term has been around for a while, but now both organisations and vendors are taking it more seriously. Organisations are taking it more seriously because they truly now believe that this is going to enhance their organisation, and vendors are taking it more seriously now because they can see opportunity in that HCM space.
Yeah, and there's certainly we're seeing lots and lots of startup vendors playing in this HR space, but at the same time, we're seeing a lot of activity at the other end of the spectrum as well, with companies like IBM, like Oracle, like SAS Institute, all taking a very keen interest in the HR manager for different reasons. But the staff member almost becomes this corporate asset now, doesn't it?
That's right.
And so it's grooming, maintaining, painting, watering, feeding this
nurturing
asset to make sure it grows. And so I guess the other interesting thing is the journey for a potential staff member starts well outside the organisation now. And so organisations are starting to reach out. And so this original perimeter of HR and HR systems is now being abolished.
Yeah.
And so there's potentially staff outside our networks, outside our perimeter, which all of a sudden become important to us as an organisation, even though they don't work for us yet.
No. And that's important too, because they see that as part of their brand, because organisations want to have their candidates, their applicants, to have a great experience when they apply. And more organisations are now starting to look at social networks to actually attract good candidates.
And the social network thing is interesting because I guess if we're talking about this HR market, LinkedIn,
Yep.
you know, has been a very successful social network for business platform, and it actually continues to perform above the expectations of financial analysts and Wall Street and all that kind of, you know, stuff that keeps the IT vendor market, vendor economy ticking along. So they've been doing very well. I mean, Facebook is obviously pushing into business, and so if we think about what LinkedIn represents and what Facebook represents, and then looking at companies like IBM, which are coming at HR more from a collaboration perspective. And the interesting things that kind of tie these together is this view of the social ID, you know. So
Yep.
How's my LinkedIn ID and my Facebook ID as a person, how can that now feed into some of these external online recruitment systems which kind of lead me to becoming an important member of this organisation? It's you know, you can really start to see why this is becoming a very fascinating
And dynamic.
yeah, and very dynamic enterprise application market. So I guess there are some key messages then for business executives. This is not a technology problem,
No.
right? At the moment, there's a little bit of work to do, maybe a lot of work to do for some organisations. So what might some of those challenges?
Well, I mean, as we said before, originally it's been more about a transactional, a tactical approach to recruitment and learning and professional development. Now we're starting to see it's becoming more strategic. It's more important to the organisation. So rather than organisations...
But what is it's not HR itself, it's
No.
the people, right?
That's correct.
It's the people.
It's the people. So rather than just taking a tactical approach to this and trying to address that problem from a technology perspective, we really need to take a step back and make it a more of a business perspective and more of a strategy perspective, because it's important to the overall strategy of an organisation and the success of an organisation.
So what does it mean then for traditional HR payroll vendors? Are they going to be the market leaders in a couple of years?
Well, the traditional ones, probably not. They probably have to start moving and start thinking about the overall human capital management perspective.
Right, so payroll, you know, kind of becomes this, it's expected you do that well. There's obviously been some high profile examples where it hasn't been done well, right? But, you know, there's an expectation, and you can see a lot of the public comments about the Queensland Health issue. The expectation, the shock from people was, wait, how could you screw this up so badly? You know, It's payroll. We've been doing this
for a long time, yeah.
And so, you know, we'll probably see this movement for payroll to take a journey to be pure play business process outsourcing.
That's right.
You know, we'll just get rid of it.
It's just tactical. It's not part of our business.
It's not a value add HR exercise. Paying people is important. Should be a transactional exercise. Remain that. We'll get rid of that because it's not a strategic value to our business, and we'll start to focus on these other things. So really, you could see why there's so much movement, the big players in this HR space, and that should be a real bellwether for business executives, HR executives, you know, to really take a look at their strategic approach to human capital management inside their organisation.